guys, Tab here. Hope you're all keeping well. Yes, this week on the channel, very excited because we've got a pretty good car for you. In fact, it's very good. I've got to be honest. It is the Cayman GT4. Now, unfortunately, it's not my Cayman GT4. It's Mr. H Cars, who's been on the channel before in his M2C. He's upgraded, and a great upgrade it is too. This one is the 718. We've had the earlier Cayman GT4, the 981, on the channel previously, courtesy of Martin. So we're going to be getting out for a drive in this one and seeing how it compares to that 981 in terms of its speed and sort of general feel. But I think this one looks absolutely great. We're going to be chatting a lot to Mr. H Cars, finding out what drove him to drive this. Great decision, I think you'll find. But let's meet the owner of this car.
Hey!
And there he is. You've been waiting there all this time. How's it going?
Knees are starting to hurt.
Good to see you.
Hello, how are you doing? Good to catch up.
Thank you for waiting there all this time since the last video.
That's all right, yeah.
Hopefully it's not been too cold.
Yeah, it's been rainy, cold.
Right, so, I mean, firstly, respect. It is a beautiful bit of kit. I mean, I love the M2 that you had. That's a great car. You know, I'm a fan of the M2 and also a fan of these. So I think it's fair to say you've got good taste in cars.
Yeah, double the money of the M2.
Double the money.
It is double the car. Is it double the fun?
I think you'll have to tell me that because you've experienced them both. But in terms of the being double the money, I don't think you need to worry about that, right? Because it's a Porsche. And this thing holds its value pretty well, right?
Very true, yeah. That's why I bought it, really.
Can you roughly divulge how much this would be worth right now on the market?
Yeah, so I paid about 90 grand for it.
Okay, so serious.
It was at the lower end of the auto trader market. Yeah. So viewers, if you don't know, if you can't buy one of these brand new unless you're a special Porsche customer. So I had to go into the auto trader market. I paid 2 grand more than it was brand new.
Wow.
Some of them are up to 100, 110 grand, depending on spec. But they brand new, those would have been 90. Yeah. So they're making a lot of money. So actually, I've done all right to kind of get what it was brand new. Yeah. When I sell this, maybe 85. So might maybe lose about 2 grand. The market's kind of coming down a little bit now, so
it depends on when you sell it. Right, no one can really read the future, I guess.
Exactly. So. But if you're going to buy a car, if you're going to buy a car with the lowest total cost of ownership, Porsche.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer, mate. And so obviously, you're a bit limited in terms of the choice because you were looking at second-hand. But is there anything you were looking for specifically in a GT4 on that second-hand market?
So it's my only car. So it has to be a daily. I have to be able to use it every single day. Go to Tesco, go to the shops, take it to work. So I didn't want bucket seats. Now viewers are probably going to start going mad because they feel like bucket seats. You have to have them in a GT car. Yeah. You got to remember, getting in and out of them is the biggest pain when having bucket seats. And so
it is.
Yes, the buckets are comfortable. The comfort seats are comfortable, but I need to be able to get in and out if I forget something, hop in and out. So comfort seats were number one. Steel brakes. Again, being a GT product, a lot of people say you've got to have the ceramics. If you get a stone chip to replace them with OEM Porsche ceramic brakes, the discs, 23 grand.
Wow.
So again, steals, because if I get a stone chip or chip them,
that's all four corners, right?
Yes.
Right.
That's each.
23 grand each?
No, all four.
All four, it's got to be,
yes, yes.
I was going to say, because the car would bankrupt itself. Yes. It's 23 grand each.
I don't have that money, I don't have that cash.
You're looking at nearly 100k in ceramics, yeah, but it's bonkers, isn't it? And I think, so you want to track this, right?
I will be tracking it in the next couple months. Right. 3rd of October. I want to fully experience it. It's too good for the road. It's too fast for the road.
You think?
When I hoon it around the road, I'm driving at like 60% of its capability.
Right.
So I really want to track it and really experience it properly.
Now I've got to say, if you show me a silver car, I will generally say, you know what? I just don't like it. I don't like the colour of it. But I don't know what it is about Porsche colours. They just kind of,
get it right.
They're different enough to be not plain silver. So what colour is this you've gone for?
This is GT Silver.
GT Silver, okay.
Originally, it came out only on the GT cars, I believe on the Carrera GT, but they started putting them on other Porsche models, actually. You can get it on a base Cayman.
It's lovely. It's kind of got a blue almost feel to it, hasn't it?
Yeah,
it's a really cool colour.
The different shades.
Yeah.
I think it looks better at night because
Yep.
It turns a little bit darker. During the day, you can see the blue from the sky. It changes throughout the day, and it's a lovely colour.
And just on that point there, I should also point out there is a video on the channel as well with this thing out at night, so you get to see it then, and it looks pretty cool then. So definitely a good colour choice. So now you've had it for a while, can you safely say that it does work as a daily?
It can be a daily. I do daily it, but it's an awful daily. It's too loud in the cabin because the engine's right behind you, right behind the seat. So when you're going down the motorway at 70 miles an hour, just that hum.
Just rumbles, right? Yeah.
I've started debated wearing headphones because it's just too loud in the cabin. It's too low. It doesn't have a front nose lift, so you scrape this front splitter on everything. But
Porsche have thought about that, right? Because it's a fairly cheap, interchangeable part.
You can remove it on the side. It's £200 to replace from Porsche.
So that's all right, isn't it?
But
versus a £7,000 worth of carbon splitter, right, or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they've thought about that.
So you can daily it, but it's a horrible daily. But it's a GT Porsche, so who cares? I'll drive it as much as I want.
Totally agree with you. And you think, okay, GT4 is probably the daddy of all the Caymans, but it's not, is it?
No, there's a bigger brother now.
The GT4 RS, which is limited and really hard to get.
Really hard to get. Yep. So as we're filming right now, the 3 RS came out yesterday. So it's the same engine, but in a GT, in a Cayman format. But it's harder to get a 4 RS than a 3 RS. That's how limited the 4 RS is.
Yeah.
So
I heard most dealers had only one, maybe two at a push as an allocation to sell.
Per dealership, yeah.
Which, as you say, goes to the best customers out there. Those customers that spend a lot. So alloy wheels, what are we looking at here?
These are the standard satin silver grey alloy wheels.
Lovely colour. And I think the shape of a Cayman is great.
Yeah.
They look low, purposeful. The stance is lovely. And of course that big spoiler on the back as well.
Yeah, you can get the same engine in the Cayman GTS now. It doesn't rev quite as high, maybe 300-400 revs less. But I wanted the GT4 because it's got a different front bumper, a little bit more aggressive. The wing makes it a little bit more aggressive. But the GTS is just as capable, I think. So, maybe a bit softer.
Yeah, okay. So just your point there about the in-cabin noise and that drone, you think if it was bad, probably not a good idea to upgrade the back box, but what have you just done?
So I've just put a Miltech back box on it, thinking it will make it a bit louder. This is not a Miltech problem, this is a back box problem. If you change the back box on the GT4 to any kind of Soul Performance, Miltech, Aquapovic, the resonance of the synthesizer within the engine must resonate differently with the back box. It essentially makes the cabin very drony, around 2,000 to 3,000 revs. So in order to solve that, you can buy a synthesizer delete. It's like $15.
Right.
But yeah, it's made the car drone, which is even worse of a daily now.
Yeah, well, I've got to say, when I first experienced this car, the 718 yours, on that night shoot we did, with the stock exhaust, I was so surprised at just how loud it was as a stock car. And I believe it pushes the limits on some track days in terms of noise limits, right? I know Martin's in his 981 stock, he was getting black flag for noise at Bedford. So they really do push the boundaries of what you'd have on a road car.
Yeah, for a modern car with OPF, it's really loud.
It is, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah,
it sounds great, I think.
It screams.
It's a wonderful sound. Cool, so I think a quick look around the car. Only one thing left to do now, and that is get out for a drive and chat around the car, what it's like to drive a manual GT4 RS. So quite excited for this. Let's do it. And here we are in the Cayman GT4. So, first thing we've got to touch on, because it's an important point in these cars, do we want to have the windows up a little bit?
Mic should be fine, but
is the sound of this car, because it's a 911 engine, isn't it?
It is, it's the 992 Carrera engine.
It is.
Bored out to 4 litres, turbos removed.
We know they sound fantastic. Anyway, and this car, it's such a distinctive sound. As soon as you hear it coming up the road, you know exactly what it is. So for me, it's one of the most joyous aspects of this car. Just lovely, love it.
Screams.
It grips well as well, doesn't it? Obviously being a mid-engine, getting that weight over the rear wheels. And you've got a few cracks and popples there, right?
Yeah. Probably the next
So,
thing.
how does this compare to the 981? This is the 718, as we said at the top of the video. The 981, I believe, is a 3.8 litre engine, about 380 brake horsepower. This is a 4 litre, 414 brake.
Yep, correct.
Do you know the torque? Doesn't matter, it's got a lot.
About, I don't know, I'm going to guess, but I don't know.
Enough. And a manual. And how have you been getting on with the manual? Because I know MTC kind of doing it all for you in its fancy way.
Typical manual problem, so when you're around town in traffic, again, install it. It's kind of the daily aspect coming into it again. I think if I had a PDK, life would be great.
Yeah.
But then when you're hooning it on a country road, the downshifts, you just drop it. Oh, it's good. I always forget how quick these are, and then I get out in one again, and it's wow, it really kind of hits you. They're quick cars, seriously quick cars. And looking at the rev counter there, red line's at 8k RPM, right? Yep.
Which is a screamer.
A screamer.
Officially a screamer. So you've come to this from the MTC. Would you ever go back to an MTC?
Good question, and that's the thing I kept asking myself a couple months after buying this. This is a better driver's car, a better sports car.
Right.
But I would go back to an M2 comp, but for different reasons. It's got 4
reasons
seats.
Of comfort?
Yes, it's got 4 seats, so I can drive my friends around. The boot is big, you can put everything in it. This has got 2 separate boots, but that's a better one-car garage, which is basically me. I have a one-car garage. That's it. That boomy synthesizer is.
Yeah, we've got to touch on that because of the exhaust and the synthesizer noise. I didn't realise you mentioned this. That apparently, this car pumps noise back into the cabin, right?
Yep.
And the exhaust is kind of conflicting a little bit with that system, and you do get this really boomy resonance, which I think would probably be a bit uncomfortable for long journeys. It would probably annoy me to the point of having to put some Bose noise-cancelling headphones on or something like that. But hopefully, you can get that sorted. So, what kind of comparison do you think this has in terms of the drive to the 981? I think, honestly, to me, having been out in both, they feel very similar, almost unmistakably similar. For sure, you get a bit more power in this, maybe a slightly different sound with that exhaust, but they're pretty much the same car, aren't they?
Yeah, the reason I actually have this car is because I went out in Martin's 981 and was hooked. It's an experience. It's a different experience from the M2. And the next day, I went out in a 718, my friend's 718, to get kind of an idea of that. And they are honestly basically exactly the same. It's like a facelift, a few minor tweaks, but you won't really notice it unless you're on track.
Yeah, and the precision of them is absolutely fantastic. So if you look at sort of comparable cars, I think you mentioned, we were just chatting outside the car, about the Lotus Emira and that comparison to this, or at least the Cayman GTS. What would you say? I think it was a saloon car. Was it Autocar?
I think Autocar have just announced, or they've put out a magazine about comparing it with other cars, but in it they say that the Emira drives like a saloon.
Drives like a saloon car. Quite an interesting saloon with the engine behind you, I've got to say. I mean, I'm quite surprised they've said that. But as we know, it's based on the Evora. The Evora is quite a comfort Lotus. It's not really probably one of the most driver's Lotuses out there for sure. So I think that's quite a surprise. But if you compare the Emira and this, I think this is probably going to win hands down every time, right? It's just newer tech, newer engine. The Emira's got that ancient Toyota V6, which has been around for donkey's years. Different cars, but I have to say the Emira is still a fantastic looking car. And I think a lot of people will be getting in the Emira just because of the way it looks and because they want to show off a little bit. And why not? You know, it's a good car for that. This, to me, is on another level. And your first track day is coming up, Bedford.
Yep. I've been there plenty of times, so that's why I'm going.
You know the track well,
My
right?
first time in a GT4.
You've had the M2C around there.
Yep.
You've had a spin there.
Yep.
Plenty of grass
A
runoff.
few times, yep.
I think you'd have to be going pretty mad in this to get this one to spin out.
Yeah, the traction on this is unbelievable.
I think where you're going to struggle the most, I'm just saying this, is with this round track. Yeah, getting in the right gears at the right time. But it's a learning curve, isn't it? I think I'd probably struggle as well, to be fair.
But that's the fun part.
Yeah. So, anything about this car? We touched on the noise. It's a bit grating. It's not too bad right now, is it?
It's not too bad because I am
got it in the
speeding a little bit and kind of sitting above the revs that it booms the most.
So you're doing 120 miles an hour now down the M3.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right.
So that if I put my foot down a little bit more,
just gets a bit annoying.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you could probably say is
without
great.
that.
Anything else? Lack of room.
well, cup holders. Everyone likes to complain about them, but they really are awful. They're so short that I can't put my normal little chili bottle that I used to have. And I've had to buy a separate special bottle that fits. I don't know. Other than that, it's a fantastic car.
It is a great car. It's a great looking car, and even just now on the way up the road, somebody shouted you out, right?
Yes.
Nice car,
great.
mate.
Yes. Gave me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I think.
So, would you get another one of these after this one?
I would, but if I could go back, if it was alternative, different dimension wheel, get a daily.
Yeah.
Get something a little bit boring that you can use to churn up the miles and really use this as a weekend car.
I think we are restricted by the fact you've only got one parking spot right now in your flat, right? So you've got to have. I mean, this car ticks a few boxes.
Yeah.
It doesn't tick perhaps the practicality one, but I think it's the best thing to buy when you've only got one parking space.
Yep.
If you're lucky enough to have parking space for more than one cars, this would absolutely be one of the cars in the stable.
I actually fell out of love with this car last week because I've been using it for all the mundane tasks and it made me resent it. But then I took this car out for a spin with a couple of friends and it made me fall in love with it again. So having a separate car definitely keeps you loving this car for the fun side of it.
Yeah, good stuff. So, you can't afford a GT4 RS then?
No, and I'm not special enough either.
No,
unfortunately.
I think that's probably another level again, right? In terms of the rawness, the noise, where the air vents are, all that good stuff.
The 981 felt the same as the M2 comp, but this is definitely faster.
Just pulls. I think the one thing I've said before about the Cayman that I'm not mad on is the gears. Too long. There is actually a company in America that will change the gear ratios for you, I believe, for about 10 grand or something.
Yeah, something like that. They'll shorten the gears.
They'll shorten the gear ratio to get more out of that engine. I mean, it's designed for going very fast. It's not probably the best road car in terms of the gear ratios, but I think the ride is pretty good, right?
Pretty comfortable.
It's not too... It's firm, but not too firm.
Oh, we've got some walls either side. This is my favourite party trick. Downgrade to first. And it just throws the passenger back and into the back of their seat.
It really is. It's got a lot of torque, doesn't it?
And it grips, so it gets the power down.
Grips. Makes the Taycan feel a bit slow, actually.
Porsche DNA is just always there. Like I say it all the time, Porsche is just different gravy from all the other brands out there.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Cool, well, that, I think, probably covers it. A quick blast in the 718. So whether you're out there looking for a 981 or a 718, I don't think it matters too much which one you get, if I'm honest. You probably agree, right? Find one that's right for you. Find one with the right spec, right mileage, right price bracket. But even the 981s still going for crazy money right now.
Yeah, they are, what, 70k?
Yeah.
For like 12,000 miles, 15,000 miles.
It's bonkers how well these things hold to. So, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, sub. Big thanks to Mr. H Cars. Do check out his channel. It's doing much better than mine, obviously. But
started earlier.
Yeah, well, not that much, but yeah, you've got some great content there. And if you're after a Cayman GT4, sub to this man's channel because he's churning a lot of vids out on it, and I think we'll continue to do so. Just upgraded the exhaust, got a video on that. So yeah, nice one. Cheers, Mr. H Cars.
Thanks.
Bye.